Thinking about something in endless circles, constantly analyzing it and worrying about it, elevates your stress level and is just plain exhausting. Have you ever had a relatively short encounter with someone, maybe even less than a minute long, and then proceeded to think about it, overanalyze it, and turn it into something way bigger than it's meant to be? Do you do this so frequently you have trouble focusing and come across as scatterbrained? Does thinking in circles and worrying about things keep you up at night? According to psychologist Catherine Pittman, while the average person tends to overthink things, there are people who have levels of overthinking that are just pathological. Overthinking can take many forms: reading into the smallest detail, attempting to read minds, endlessly deliberating, making a decision, and continuing to question the decision you made, trying to predict the future, and so on. Overthinkers tend to constantly run commentaries in their heads, criticizing and picking apart even little things they did the day before, terrified they look bad and fretting about the future and how terrible it might be. Dominated by should-haves and what-ifs, they regularly agonize about simple decisions such as what to post to their social media, as they are deeply concerned about what other people think about them and their posts. According to clinical psychologist Helen Adesky, if you consistently focus on ruminating and make it a habit, it becomes a loop, and the more you do it, the harder it is to stop. It's clear to see that overthinking is destructive and mentally draining. It can easily make you feel trapped, like you're stuck in one place, and it greatly impacts your day-to-day life. So it's not entirely surprising that it in turn can quickly put your health and well-being at risk, as it makes you more susceptible to depression and anxiety. According to clinical psychologist David Carbonell, because we feel vulnerable about the future, we keep trying to solve problems in our head. Simply put, many people who overthink do so because they are scared of what could potentially go wrong in the future. It's easy for an overthinker to get caught in a downward spiral of negative thought and emotion. When something negative occurs and puts us in a discouraged mood, it becomes incredibly easy to remember other occasions when we felt this way and pile all these negative experiences on top of this emotional mountain of defeat and depression. This opens the door for tiny, insignificant negative experiences to be added to the mountain and therefore be exponentially magnified. So how can one go about overcoming this pattern of thinking and get their life back? Chronic worrying is a mental habit, and like any habit, it can be broken. Here are 4 steps you can take to change this habit of overthinking. Step number 1. As is with any habit, change must begin with awareness. You can't change something if you're not aware of when you're doing it. In order to address your habit of overthinking, take notice of when it's happening. When you find yourself ruminating or feeling stressed or anxious, acknowledge that you're overthinking and take actions such as the following recommendations to actively stop the cycle. Step 2. Distract yourself by replacing the thought. Once you're aware you're doing it, break the cycle of overthinking by distracting yourself with a replacement thought. Don't confuse this with telling yourself not to think about it. That pretty much guarantees you'll be thinking about it. Instead, change your thought to something else completely, ideally something funny or positive, such as something you're grateful for that day or the lyrics to a song that always puts you in a good mood. Step 3. Put things in perspective. Once you've interrupted your overthinking cycle with more positive thoughts, you'll likely be better able to look at the situation more objectively. Ask yourself, what is the likelihood of what you're afraid of actually happening? Or tell yourself, even if that one interaction you're mulling over did go negatively, will that actually matter one day from now? A week from now? A year from now? Is it really a big enough deal to waste your valuable time on? Step 4. Rephrase the issue to allow for positive outcomes. After putting the situation into perspective, rather than escalating it onto your mountain of negative experiences. You can start to come around to the possible positive outcomes from the situation. Remind yourself that sometimes situations disguised as negative actually end up bringing about very positive, beneficial outcomes. How many times have you heard stories about someone losing their job only to get a better one, or finally start that business they've been dreaming about and achieve huge success? It happens all the time. Sometimes it takes a negative situation to bring about truly positive change. In order to see the positive opportunities laid out in front of you, you need to be able to change your mindset to more constructive, positive thoughts. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm trapped in this job I don't even like," tell yourself, "I want a job I enjoy more and feel more engaged in," and then make a plan to develop your skill set, network, and look for and be open to opportunities for a better career. It's time to stop overthinking from ruining your life or running the show. Take control back now. With practice, you can train your brain to perceive things differently and therefore significantly reduce the stress of overthinking. Breaking habits and thought processes can be challenging, so in order to help you succeed in this goal, I've included links to some very informative and helpful books on the matter in the description section. I hope you enjoy them and find them a valuable and life-changing read. Wishing you much success in all your endeavors. If you found this video helpful, please click the like button. And if you know of anyone who would benefit from it, please share it so we can all continue to grow together and live our best lives.